Kendo Podcast episode 144. In this episode, I want to talk about differences between basic movement and applied movements in Kendo. Kendo Podcast by Hiro Mafuji from KendoGuide.com. Thank you for listening. This podcast is about Japanese martial arts Kendo for Kendo lovers and supported by Kendo enthusiasts through Patreon.com. Thank you for your support, guys. Please visit KendoGuide.com for more Kendo information and how to support KendoGuide.com. Welcome to Kendo Podcast episode 144. This is going to be pretty short, I think. I'm still having difficulty in breathing because of my asthma. And so I'm sorry if I cough. I did some treatment beforehand, so I don't think I will be too bad during recording of this podcast, but still having difficulty to breathe, so please forgive me about that. Okay, now I've been analyzing how people strike, and this is, I have known this fact for a long time, but because of my traditional way of thinking, and I have believed that if you do certain things in a certain way, you will be able to reach to that level. But I kind of start thinking to doubt that. Certain things have to be practiced. And of course, in the last podcast, I talked about mental representations, and also what was that? The way we should be practicing to acquire certain movements, right? And then I kind of did the reverse engineer. I'm focusing on reverse engineering now. What that means is I analyzed in the members area. So if you are interested in what I'm doing at the moment, please become a member so you can see what is going on, what I've been analyzing. So maybe it will benefit you. Anyway, so I analyzed this Hayashi sensei's movements, and then when we strike men, small men strike, which is applied technique, a lot of things are different from so-called the basic movement. Of course, you have conflict there. Basic movement, like if you define what is Kendo basic movement is, you lift up, as you lift up your sword, your right foot moves forward, just like you do in Suburi. Okay? And as you strike, the left foot comes forward, right? But when you put men on, you don't do that. We don't even slide to strike. We call it humikomi, right? We use humikomi ashi, which is advanced or modified technique of suriashi, okay, sliding footwork. Okuriashi, which is right foot forward and left foot follows, right? So that's called okuriashi. Now, humikomi-ashi is advanced technique of okuriashi. All right, so now everything becomes different when you put men on, and Kiken Taichi was as you strike. Kiken Taichi means your body, right? Body means everything, not only right foot or left foot, everything have to go with your strike and your kiai together, right? Everything has to be harmonized, integrated as you strike, right? And applied technique is a bit different. Of course, you have to, you have to jump. I would say jump forward. We're not really jumping, but we are jumping forward. So your body will sink a little bit, of course. You cannot keep your body at the same level as you stand. All right, so because your right foot is now in the air and you want to go forward, so you use your left leg as a spring, so you go sink down a little bit. That's normal because we have gravity, right? You will be pulled down. It's very normal, right? And then we want to go forward, so we kick the floor with the left foot, right? And then we change the force going down. Instead of going down, we're going forward. All right. So that's kind of basically what happens if you do things right. Okay. So we can say that is an advanced technique. It is an advanced technique because it is different from what you learned at the very beginning, which is basic movement. Now, so if you want to accomplish the very small strikes, if I say small strikes, it's applied techniques. I'm not talking about using just tapping a target with a kensaki. I'm talking about very good strike, but it's smaller. Okay, so if you want to accomplish certain level of good strike with a smaller movement, you cannot really say, oh, that is not basic movement. It's not basic movement anymore. It's applied movement. It's advanced movement. So it is. You have to know the difference between you have to know the mechanism is different. So that's why I have to do reverse engineer. It's two totally different movements. The basic, whatever you learn at the beginning, sliding strikes versus fumikomi and fumikiri, strike with fumikomi and fumikiri. Okay, there they use really different muscles, and mechanism is different. So you cannot apply everything what you learned for the basic movement. So you have to relearn it. Now, I have a question. I have two questions from Min. He's a long-term member of my Patreon system. So I said my analysis tells that a lot of people raise the knee high. Okay, so now I'm sure a lot of people are told not to raise their right knee. Okay, which is true, but as a mechanism, when you see sprint, 100-meter sprint, they have their knee very high, right? Because they want to, that is what they do in order for them to maximize their power to go forward, which is very normal, all right? I'm talking about mechanism, not, what you learned at the very beginning of your Kendo history, all right? As a mechanism, you should raise your right knee high so you can use your whole body. You can maximize the power. Now, of course, we are not just raising our knee too high. We have to go forward, right? And then we are not just sprinting. We have to strike. So if you think if you accomplish all the final goal in Kendo, striking a target, you kind of have to adjust how high it should be, right? And where your right foot should be landing, right? So my analysis tells me, and I have read this book about how people strike, mechanism of the Kendo strike. your right foot have to, your right knee should be above your right foot as you strike. Okay, so if you kind of accomplish those little things, right, you should be able to strike advanced men strike, for example. So it is, if you think the Hayashi sensei is, I think, in his 70s now, and he is raising his knee. Highest point is about his tare level, maybe a little lower. But do you have to? I don't think you have to. But it's not because he is trying to raise his knee that high, but he is trying to accomplish this one motion, which is how to strike men comfortably and without losing his balance and keeping his posture. And it has to maximize the strength, right? So to accomplish all those, or everything, those conditions or criteria to strike men, he is doing everything right. And do you have to raise your knee high? You don't have to, but you have to look for some kind of you have to search, or you have to experiment how you should be using your body to maximize the power of your strike. You have to be, you want to strike fast, right? You don't want to strike strong, right? That, I'm not talking about like fast, like, just maximize speed. What you have to, you just draw your potential out of your body now, at the moment, in current potential. Okay, so one, you don't have to, but just try what happens. Of course, when you try new things, you don't know how to use your body that way, so it feels weird. But the fact is, every single person, in Kendo, they do raise their right knee. They say don't, but they do. When they say you don't raise your right knee too high, that means that very action of yours is bothering your strike. So you think it's helping you, but it's not really. That's why your sensei might tell you, "Oh, stop doing that. It's not working right." Okay, so you gotta figure out how to do it. Now, second question is, you're gonna sink down your body. My analysis tells me that you're gonna sink your body when you strike. Okay, and so the question is to sink down the body and then abruptly launch himself like a spring is very interesting and new for me. I guess it is not basic. True, it is not basic. We're not talking about the basic movement. It's very important to think, like I said, it's a reverse engineer. A lot of people, we learn certain things in certain way in Kendo. Now, I truly believed it will make people to strike like I strike, or like any other Kendoists strike. No. The answer I found is no. So I started doing this reverse engineering. If you want to strike, this is advanced technique, smaller strike, accomplish speed and power. You have to start doing like other Kendoists. Now, 8th Dan Sensei do it. I'm not saying because the 8th Dan Sensei doing it right, you're doing. So it must be right. No, I'm not saying that. But to accomplish what we do in Kendo, right? Smaller strike with the right foot going forward first, and then we have to have certain amount of power in our strike. And also we have to make it sharper and smoother and with certain amount of speed. Right? We have to accomplish all of that to improve our Kendo. Okay? I'm focusing on that. Right? And then if we want to do it, we have to analyze those, our goal. I'm sure everyone, those who are listening to this podcast, do Kendo and want to searching for a way to improve, maybe. And so if you want to improve, which means the next level, if you cannot strike small, you can strike big, but if you cannot accomplish good fumikomi and fumikiri with good kiken taichi, now you will find yourself at a position that stuck in somewhere. You can't move from maybe 3dan to 4dan or 4dan to 5dan. It gets harder. It only gets harder. So I want to kind of think that, okay, I want to accomplish main strike, small main strike like 8th dan sensei, like this sensei. So I want to analyze. I want to have to probably start doing things differently. Okay. Now, of course, if you just keep doing the same thing and polish up your skills, maybe you will get there one day. But if you just started, or if you're in your 40s or 50s, and if you're like 3rd dan, 2dan, 4dan, you gotta accomplish certain things really quickly. Okay, so if you do things from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's hard. Okay, as long as you know what's the basic case, work on the advanced techniques and how other people, how like higher rank people will do it. Okay, so I am, everyone, even 7th dan sensei, 6th dan sensei, they are analyzing themselves to accomplish certain things in their Kendo. Okay, how do they analyze? They always analyze someone higher than them, and I want to accomplish that. How is he doing that? And maybe sometimes you just watch a video and you can find out how they're doing it. Maybe sometimes you can't find anything. Okay, that's why you have to practice, right? So we are always try, practice, feedback. Okay, so just I think I talked about it in the last podcast. You need to challenge and try and just fix something, and then just get feedback and do the same thing over and over, and then you can probably hopefully that will help you to get to the next level. Okay, so basic is basic. Okay, and I'm sure that is from how to use the katana. All right, and I'm not against it. All right, but certain movements have to be earned by you.
I don't see any podcasts.
I'm sorry, my Siri just started talking. Okay, so make sure that you analyze something and then reverse engineer it. How can I accomplish that? Okay, and basic is basic, and apply technique based on the basics. But sometimes you do have to get the movement away. You have to keep your mind away from the basics. So because mechanism is different. Okay, I'm not saying basic is not important, but if you cannot just compare two things which that have totally different mechanisms. Okay, so I hope this helps you to analyze and your Kendo and improve it, okay, as soon as possible, as quickly as possible. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next podcast. I would like to send special thanks to patrons for their constant support through patreons.com/Kendo For Life.